Get out of your own way. It's not about you. It's about serving others and how we fit into, I'm going to get a little guru here, but how we fit into the universe and why we're here. And once you shift from thinking about how do I versus how do I get to serve, it lines up.
Oh, hey everyone, welcome to today's show. And as usual, I am super fired up to bring you my guest today because she is going to be someone that you all will resonate with in some way, shape, or form. And she will encourage you to go outside the box. And we have had the privilege of working together. I am still working with her. I'm going to share how she takes her own clients through the process of getting yourself out there, leveraging YouTube. Everyone, if you haven't already started doing it, or if you are, this will take you up to that next level so that you are not the best kept secret. How good does that sound? So I am so thrilled to introduce you to Maureen Ryan Blake. She is a best-selling author, a TV show host, and executive coach. Her superpower is allowing others to shine during her weekly interviews with best-selling authors, celebrities, and inspirational leaders on the Rising Star Book Club weekly podcast. With over 100 interviews, her focus is on her guest, their message, and allowing their true, authentic self to shine. She is the founder of Maureen Ryan Blake Media Productions. And here's the thing, whether you're looking to book and boost conversion with YouTube, she can help you get higher rankings, increase engagement and sales, or become a thought leader in your niche. So today, let's bring on in Maureen. Maureen, so great to have you.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here and let's have some fun.
You know what? Here's the thing. You and I first became acquainted with each other when we were co-authors of a book, Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose. And the best part of that, there it is. There's the book. We love it. Is that it, yes, indeed became an international best-selling book, but it opened up doors for partnerships. And you had started this whole thing around YouTube. And I said, hey, can I piggyback off of you? Can you help me do what you're doing with your own company and with so many of the other fabulous women that you work with? And so before we go into that, because I know everyone's going to be super excited to hear, I would like to ask you to take me through at this point, because your career has been so incredibly diverse, but help me understand, how did you end up getting here? What is your most significant relaunch?
I knew we would get into that, right? Because I was working with you, relaunch is everything, and you bring people forward. And what I realized is that for successful people, relaunch is a part of their life. They're continually relaunching as they're stepping to newness, to stretching themselves, and to really to lifting to that next level, right? And when I thought about a significant relaunch, because there's been many, and
We all have, isn't it true these days? We're like, oh my God, which one should I talk about? There are so many, and there's more coming right now, tomorrow. They just keep coming.
and that was what was going through my head after we had our little earlier conversation before the interview. And then I realized, I'm like, wow, I'm going to lean into the relaunch that actually saved my life, and I wouldn't be here if I did not stand in my intuition, and that it was going against everything that I was supposed to do. And uh in between when I was going to school, and then I was holding off on graduate school, and again working in New York City, working on Wall Street, I was working on a bond trading desk, right? And bond trading, being a bond trader, let's be real, good money, and fun, fast paced, dynamic. And it was a cushy company, right? That they so took care of. So you were lucky to be there. And I said, and it was square, right? So I could see there was the pit, there was the square, and people would be calling over each other and quotes from this one and another and be grabbing them up. So it was like intense and fun and aligned with my energy. And I said, you know what? I want to go back to school. I want to go that next level and finish what I wanted to do. And it was years later, I did not know I made the right decision.
But wait,
That
now, wait a sec before you continue. So you're on the floor, you're doing all this, it's exciting, and you want to go back to school to further enhance being a trader, or what was it? What was the back to
that's
school?
so I went back for it. I went back for two advanced degrees. I did them simultaneously. One was in leadership and another one was in diplomatic history. Not anything to do with, but that love of history, research, reading, going deep. Or I don't know if any things fit into what I actually do now. And that company was Cantor Fitzgerald. And
Mm.
Cantor Fitzgerald, for some people that don't know, was on they actually had like 4 floors, right? They had an art gallery in the World Trade Center. Yeah, I'm talking about 9/11.
Mm.
They were one of the floors that the plane came. They were isolated. They weren't getting down. And when you went into this, you didn't think about it until afterwards. But when you when you would go into the World Trade Center, you'd come up and you'd go in, and there was actually 2 banks. You'd go to the 34th floor, or you'd go the direct all the way up, and then and that. I mean, it was, such a tall building, so just intense New York. And yeah, do I wear my black? Yes, I am a New Yorker, and just the whole being in that, being and get and saying I made it. And you know what? When I was sitting on the couch with my son, I was pregnant with him, and those planes hit, there was my answer. There's my answer, that if I did not listen to who and what I was meant to be, I wouldn't be here. And
Mm.
that's the relaunch I decided to lean in on today.
Oh, Maureen, that story. I think somebody's saying just pull that mic towards your face a little bit more. But here's the thing. You, I mean, I remember hearing about Cantor Fitzgerald and how how many of the people did they lose that day?
Well, they had more than one satellite, but that was the New York. They had some operations in Jersey, and they shift. But they lost everybody that was in the New York office. I
Yeah.
mean, they lost the art gallery. A friend of mine was managing that. That's how I got the job.
Yeah.
And there was no getting out. There,
Yeah.
there was no getting out. And I don't even know how those last minutes that was for them, what that felt like. And it still brings up emotion for
Oh,
me.
sure. I bet.
And then it's the why. So you
Mhm.
take that why and you take it with gratitude, and you say, I get to do something with that. And that's exactly what I was meant to do. And that is what I'm doing. That's what
So before we go any further, I do want to mention that this time period when you were working for them, you were, busy, you're hustling, you're doing all this, you actually enjoyed what you were doing, right?
I
You said that
did.
you were in that good place. It was, what was it that you went off, you went and got the 2 degrees. They really had nothing to do with that. But I'm often asked about trusting your intuition. And this is hindsight 2020. This is that profound, had you not done that, had you potentially been in the building, had you been on those floors, you wouldn't, as you said, you wouldn't be here right now. But what was it that just said, you know what? I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I need to make a change.
It was and it's been part of it, like since the essence of who I always was. I'm a builder. I am a serial entrepreneur. That's who and what I am. At that time, and even so most recently, it was not an accepted. It was you're just not committing, you're just not standing, you're just not doing what you're supposed to. Instead, I was meant to create, I was meant to bring forward, I was meant to lead. That doesn't fit in that traditional Wall Street confinement. And that's the voice I listen to. And that's who I am. And I love it. That's what I get to do.
Well, so then you went and you started to take these courses, and yeah, you are a TV show host, you're a podcaster, you're an author, you're doing all these things that are creative, right in your wheelhouse. And then you decided to do something for you that really ended up, starting a whole new line of a business. But can you share with us, before we go on to that part of it, there's constantly opportunities that come before us. And what made you say yes to writing the book, to writing that, that very impactful chapter in Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose?
Well, that was the phase that the yes was happening, right? So
Tell us about that, because I love how you do this. Tell us about your phase and how that has impacted you.
and I would say the one piece right before that was the catalyst to the change, to that's it. This is the path, and we get to fail, and failure is good, because that means you're getting back up and you are standing with your purpose, and you're standing with your vision, and you're making things happen. You're impactful, and you're making things happen. But the two pieces that really were so profoundly important was the first, that I got I in me. I'm worthy. And that's the significant, that I then, when I did all this, it was 4 years before that. I was in coaching, I was in training, I was in deep, right? And I paid for it, and I invested in me. I didn't pay for something, I invested in me. And that's that shift, that then everything else starts to come, that everything starts to fall in line, that you are worthy. And you get to invest in, and you know what, you don't do it alone, and you don't figure things out on your own. And then the next week, building community, because the book came out of working with Rebecca Hall-Grida, who I adore, and now I consider, and I'm grateful to call her a close friend. She said, I got a book, you want to compile it with me? And so all these things already in play, that then I say yes to anything she offers, because I know where her intention is, and the people I surround myself with. So yes becomes easy.
You know
And
what I love about that is that when I first met her, I met Rebecca because I had put something out on LinkedIn and just said, hey, I think what you're doing is incredible. You're, publisher, you're doing all these incredible things, networks. And so we had this conversation, and I had not really gone any further with writing a book or doing anything like that. And she said, where's your book? I said, I don't have a book. She said, well, why not? And I said, well, I'm kind of busy. I have this company. I got da. And she started laughing, and she said, great, you're perfect. We're writing this book. You need to write a chapter. And because I wrote that chapter in the book, in your book, in this beautiful, beautiful Step Into Your Brilliant purpose, that triggered me to say, you know what? I got a bigger book inside of me. And that's where ReLaunch Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life came from. So I just, it's so fortuitous that, you say yes. And as you said, it's kind of like your motto now that, you say yes. I want to talk though, before we go into you say yes and how often you should say yes and when you shouldn't say yes and how you differentiate that now. You said there were two things. One, you invested in me. And what was the second?
Then I built community.
Build a community.
Absolutely.
So before we go into build a community, I want to talk about invest in me, because you mentioned courses, you mentioned, growth. How important do you feel, because you also said purpose a bunch of times, that what is the best way? How important is it to find your purpose?
Your purpose is everything. Your purpose is why you're here. It's some people are, it's your divinity. It's the grounding. It's the piece that you are in the universe, and it's your driving force. Everything is clear when you're standing in your person in that alignment. But this is a really important piece, and often so many times for women, it comes down to, first of all, the question that oftentimes women in a relaunch, that the last time someone asked them was, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know, or I don't remember the last time someone asked you. You're on a relaunch. And then the other with that is that you get to lean into you. You get to lean into, this was the other relaunch, was that it was a training. I was there for a totally different purpose. I spilt a whole thing of iced tea on this trainer's foot that I get to work with later. I was bumbling. I was not composed. And then she said, is it now or is it again later? I said yes. And I said now. And that's the moment where you finally say, I'll make it work. I'll figure it out. And then life gets to be figured out and everything starts to fall in place.
So we actually had to take a break, but I do want to come back, and I love, is it again later or is it now, right? When? Because we constantly can always say, well, not today, but someday. And then another year passes. Hey, we're coming to the end of a year now, and you don't do it. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about really, you've been a part of these books about purpose. I want to dip more into that. And then I also want to talk about your yes equation. So when we get back, we'll jump right back in. This episode is brought to you by my very own labor of love, my most recent book, ReLaunch. This book is a collection of my stories, other stories, and is a motivational guide to living a new 3HQ lifestyle, sparking your heart to ignite your life. It's available for purchase via Amazon. Get ready to try on the 3HQ method that I've been using for years throughout my entire life, reaching the next level in all areas, both professionally and personally. Get your copy today at www.therelaunchbook.com. Oh, welcome back. And I have Maureen Ryan Blake with me today, and we are doing a deep dive right now into purpose. And I can say, because I did recently a huge survey on what is the one thing that most women now, entrepreneurial women, are most concerned with. And that is aligning with their purpose. That is the first time it has come up in all the years of doing the research. It's usually making sure that my company is growing and scaling and I can, manage the family and all that. No, purpose. So Maureen, welcome back. And I would, knowing that you were part of Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose, and I had the pleasure of working with you during that time, what can you really when you think about women out there that are on this journey to finding purpose, to understanding, and you have trusted your intuition along the way, but you have this very original, unique equation. Say yes. Can we go into that and how that helped you really solidify your purpose? And I'm sure it can help others.
Okay, so when it comes to your purpose, first of all right, we go back to the question, what do you want? And that often when women are lost or lose their tribe, they're or ready for that relaunch to that next place in their life that you're so generous and bring people forward with, Hilary. That's where it starts. But the piece, and it can change. Oh, it doesn't need to be perfect. It gets to change. And the one piece I would say that as you're leaning into your purpose, as you're coming to that grounding of who and what you are, because that's what your purpose is. It's your reason why you're here. It's a big, big umbrella, right? So my purpose is to allow women to stand in their voice and in the world and coming together in unity. That's my purpose. That's a big thing, right? That doesn't kind of just fit into this project or whatever, but it is a very big, it drives. So it's this big umbrella, and it took me a really long time to get there. And the piece I would say with your purpose is that the key is to outward focus. Get out of your own way. It's not about you. It's about serving others and how we fit into, I'm going to get a little guru here, but how we fit into the universe and why we're here. And once you shift from thinking about how do I versus how do I get to serve, it lines up.
Oh, as you said that, I have really been tapping into my purpose as of late. It seems like things are really falling into place. And when I think of my purpose, I think of, the sweet spot of tune in. I want to help women and men for that matter, because I do, both, but I want to help people tune in and be able to access their heart, their emotions. And when they can do that and go from emotions and understand the importance there and understand your thoughts and how you have such control that you never even dreamed of, it's when you can tap into that higher self, your best version of you. Ultimately, it's the 3HQ framework I always talk about: head, heart, higher self. But it's tuning in so that you can change the channel. Everybody out there has the ability to change their channel, to change their trajectory, to change where they're going, to have the outcome that they are going for. Everybody tune in. So I think what you're saying is it's so wonderful. And when you stop having it be about you and you start having it be about others and the impact, that changes how you come up with really what is your purpose, and what do you want? What do you want when it's all said and done, right? I'll never forget when my mom passed. I was holding her hand and I watched her take her last breath, and I was kind of like, is she really gone? And I remember putting my hand on her belly and it was still warm. And I'm like, oh, what do I want from this point forward? And I thought, I want to spread what this incredible woman has given to me to others. And that was really how the genesis of how 3HQ was named and how it came to be in the book. So yeah, that is so amazing. And you have this incredible equation, this process that you go through, which is, say yes. Can you walk us through that?
The other thing, people oftentimes will find excuses, right, or things to get in the way. and that they're, you're promised life, but you're not promised long life.
Hmm.
And when you are at the end, and we're all at the end at some point, what do you want your legacy to say and be and who you are, with no regrets? That's it. That's the winner. Ding, 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 ding. That's the winner.
Hmm.
And so with saying yes, yes is saying, I haven't figured this out. But I know that, and it comes back to community, people you trust, right? But it's that stretch that's okay, because more opens up when you say yes and allow that energy to your next place. Your plate gets bigger, and your plate gets bigger, so you're able to bring on more. Now, mind you, we'll get to how things completely get off your plate and you stay in your genius and your gift and your purpose. But it all comes back to saying, I'm present, I'm here, and I'm showing up. And that's the power of yes.
So when you're saying this, because I know the listeners will say, okay, well, wait a second, it's going to cause me, I'm already so busy. If I say yes to anything more, I'm going to be, overloaded. I'm not going to be able to even move. There's just so much going on. What's your answer to that?
Well, this is the other thing. And then you hear me say this to you. And so to all the people that I get to work with, that it comes, this is the piece too. You don't have to figure it out all at once, and you won't. And you know what? You're gonna drop balls, and you're like, and you get to laugh, and then you get to say, okay, let me pick back up, and maybe I'm not picking that one up. That's the piece that when you find your purpose and you're like, yeah, that feels good. That feels good. Then you're onto something that your genius of why you're here, why you do something special. I found it out. I interview people. I'm really good at bringing others forward because it's about them. And that was just a yes. Again, Rebecca said, hey, you want a TV show? And I went, yeah, yes, yes, yes. And then so with the yes, and with this growth, you continue to say yes to the things that align with your purpose and your genius. Now, this is the piece that people pay so much money for. The things that don't, you take off your plate and you give it to other people who are in their genius. And you are able to discern how important it is this bringing me forward to my higher level of what I've been put here on this earth to do, to interview, to connect, to bring people forward. That's my genius. Otherwise, it all
I
comes
like
off.
you're saying, you say yes when it's in alignment, when it is relevant to your purpose. You're not just, a squawking box. Yes, 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 yes. You're really differentiating. You're differentiating what really will be impactful. And you always have your eye on the prize of impact. How can this help me impact more? That's what I'm hearing you say, it's just resonating so well with me.
And it's not that everything I do, and this is what it becomes free. Once you get out of your own way and you are looking outward, decisions become easy because it becomes clear, because you're not in that process. And so then when it's next decisions, am I serving people in my purpose? Am I standing in my genius? Because you get to claim that too. And if the answers are yes or no, it's really easy. It becomes, everything is within the bigger picture of things is simple, because we are not complicated in this big picture, in the big picture of the universe, the world, and everything in it. So if it is difficult, if it's pulling you down, that's a no. But if it's giving you that, ooh, and it's aligning to where you get to go with that, there's your yes. And then whatever you need, that's the piece too. It will come because you're standing in that higher energy of why you're here. And you are
Mhm.
here, and we need you to be here because the world is a better place.
You always hear people say, oh, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no, because it's got to be one or the other. I always like to take it through my process of really, is it going to light me up or is it going to make me feel really heavy? And I try to go with those things that lights me up. And I also find a lot of times people will ask you to do something, and if you sometimes feel like I have to say yes right now. No, you don't. And a lot of times I'll say, you know what, that is amazing, but it's not part of what I call rocket goals. It's not part of my rocket goal for this month, this quarter. And can we come back to this conversation? And I give a specific date, and it's so amazing. By the time that date rolls around, I mean, either the idea or what they were going to do has, oh yeah, we never ended up doing that. So I didn't have to get involved in, the weeds, or, hey, you know what, we already did that, but now I have something else. And it then further aligns. So I really want people to be thinking, as you're going through what Maureen is saying, think about that, that lighting you up. And there is a element of, when you breathe in and you breathe in light, and then you can breathe out that, the darkness or whatever is feeling heavy and burdensome. You want to get rid of that, right? You want to take that inner breath and then really let that go. And there is oxygen when it goes into your body in such an amazing way. It does elevate you, it lights you up. And sometimes even just going through the breathing before you say, does it light me up? Does it weigh me down? That actually gets you into a very clear space to make a better decision. So you made a huge decision, and that was there are a lot of different platforms out there, a lot of different places that you can show up. And you really decided YouTube was the place that you wanted to invest time and your energy. Can we talk about this shift and enhancement to your business model?
Well, my business model came back to I'm a promoter. I'm good on camera. You can stick me on a stage, and that's who I am. That's just part of my superpower of what I get to do. So when it came to, I was already having the TV show, right? I was producing content weekly. And the piece, this is really important, is that as really smart, capable women, we can always learn something, right? And that excitement of learning something is fun. However, if you're going down a rabbit hole to edit your work, to come in there and then do the audio or the next After Dark or Premiere Pro, or then the SEO and all of this going on, it's taking away from your genius. It's taking away from me, again, going back, interviewing, bringing people forward, standing in their message, and also building community and connection. So I built the company initially as me as the customer, as me as the basis for what I needed to get things off my plate so I continue standing in my genius. I built out an editing team. I built out an SEO team. And then everything I add is what my clients are asking for, or I'm anticipating, or B, what I know how serves me, and both. So that's how that came out. And so it is, the constantly what comes off my plate is part of everything I do. And that's the company there. Why I love YouTube for entrepreneurs, for small businesses, is that there's options. And this is the point of what you lean in. What again, what do you want? Where do you want to take this? Where do you see yourself? And it's an amazing lead gen because the links are there.
Before we go into the details there, I do want to say that what you said was so important, that, there are platforms out there, and for me personally to try to learn all about it, for me to, it does take me out of what we call the G zone, your genius zone, your growth zone, where you should be hanging out the most amount of time. But also, if I'm sitting there trying to learn on my own, I'm devaluing my own hourly amount that I'm worth, right? Because that's not, I shouldn't be doing that. So knowing that there are experts out there, knowing that there are people like you that I can come to and say, Maureen, I want to have a presence on YouTube. And hey, by the way, every single one of our podcasts, our radio show, it's all on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's all on our channel. Why is that? Because Maureen came and said, hey, what are you doing? You got to get yourself over there. You got to have the shorts. You got to have these clips. You got to have all this stuff. And I have to say, with your help, we have been able to increase week over week. And it is amazing when you and I jump on calls and you say, hey, I'm now doing this. Do you want to do that too? And I'm like, heck yeah, I do. Please help me get there and do that. And what's amazing is just like, when I'm asking you to help me with presence and pulling that off, the same thing goes when I put on one of our free challenges and I get people to actually figure out what is your hourly valued worth, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm coming off of one right now where we're doing a challenge and I know what my hour is worth. And it's not me sitting there learning, trying to figure out, it's me spending a short amount of time on a call with you saying, all right, what else do I need to do to make this successful? It's so amazing. So we do have to go on a quick break, but when we come back, now's the time. We are going to hear exactly what Maureen is recommending for people who want to take advantage of YouTube. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by my very own labor of love, my most recent book, ReLaunch. This book is a collection of my stories, other stories, and is a motivational guide to living a new 3HQ lifestyle, sparking your heart to ignite your life. It's available for purchase via Amazon. Get ready to try on the 3HQ method that I've been using for years throughout my entire life, reaching the next level in all areas, both professionally and personally. Get your copy today at www.therelaunchbook.com. Welcome back. And I have Maureen Ryan Blake with me. We are now jumping into, have you been thinking about all of the different platforms out there? You've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, and which one is going to impact your business the most? That is what Maureen and I are going to talk about right now. Welcome back, Maureen. It's so awesome. And this is such a relevant topic for today.
So, and it's good to be here. So I'm going to say, I love YouTube, and it's different than all the other platforms because, first of all, it's a search engine, and it's the second largest search engine in the world behind Google. And guess who owns YouTube? Google. So when you are being strategic, when you are strategically building week after week and having the team to be able to do the SEO, to do the tweaks, to be on top of all the changes that keep coming, you get to keep seeing increases. And then they start to get exponential as you really tap into that algorithm. That is how it's different how it's different for than any other platforms.
Well, and I just I mentioned that I'm doing a challenge right now with the Fired Up Entrepreneur program I run, and they say 96% of consumers report a video impacts their decision to buy, and 80% of video marketers report video as their most successful way to generate leads.
And there's the piece. So I'm an entrepreneur. right? I absolutely, I have my company, and as well as I'm a content creator. I get to do both. And when people are leaning into how are people getting their information? They're getting it through video. They're getting to know, hear, and see you. And yes, and like if you want to go that whole, formula there, it's on YouTube. But that's not, so you're there, you're present, right? And you're standing in your message. Then you're also getting the point of having the links to say, click the link below, click the link here on one of the icons, go to my list, grab the gift. That's a lead gen. You can't do that on the other platforms. You then can, that's something you'd want, lead gen. That starts from the beginning. That's not with the big audience, right? Then the piece is, and I love this, goes back to connections. So I always look at, how do I get to bring people together to get results happening, to bring everyone forward? And within the piece, hold on a second. There we go. Oh, it's not plugged in. That there's also then, well, I'm going to bring sponsors, which is what's coming up this year, by the way. Hilary didn't know this yet, but we're bringing sponsors on because we don't need to have $1 million subscribers, because we have connections, we have our niches, we have our audience. So now I'm bringing on sponsors that really will resonate with our audience. That's another whole thing that we can do. So that's another, what do you want to do? And then you get to be a content creator. And within that, let's be real, people aren't going to the movies. People aren't watching TV. There was Trevor Noah, right? Love him, love him, love him. They were talking about, he's taking a journey to India. And he says, I'm getting off the Daily Show, right? Do you know how many he has on his audience? This is what blew my mind. He has a little over 300,000 people following him on his audience in the Daily Show. That is nothing. That the power is in the content creator, because they're putting their money to us. So what are you waiting for?
So here's the thing, when you're thinking about this as a first step, and what I really resonated when you said, Hilary, you're already creating great content. Let's just slice it, dice it, and put it up. And, I'm not creating anything new. I'm literally, here's this program, here's what I'm doing. And then you take it and make it into these little teeny pieces. So that's the best part of this. We're not saying spend hours and hours and hours creating new content. You're just like, hey, leverage what you have. If you're a coach out there and you have training videos, slice them up into little bitty pieces. If you are going on somebody else's podcast, use some of that for your quotes. How much, time do you spend putting stuff out there? And maybe, your Instagram sees it, but how many on your Instagram really see it? It depends on the algorithm. What you were really, you started to say is that the more that we can repurpose and be able to, and as you said, it's the titles, it's the SEO, it's making sure that, you're putting it out there in the right way. But where can people start? Like if you were to say, in order to come work with me, in order to come, sign up and I'll get your YouTube, what do you need from somebody?
The piece is that, first of all, that they can commit to its consistency. So if they can commit to a weekly show, and then what we get to do with the shorts and all the other things and we cross promote, that's another thing we do. That's where you get to stand. You get to stand in a weekly commitment. And how great of a stretch is that? Because then people continually get to hear from you. And so I would say that's a yes, you get to do. And it doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be a half hour, an hour. It could be 5 minutes. And we still do magic with that, because it's about what and how you say it, not about just saying it.
That is so true, because especially, how you say it. And also you had told me, you said, Hilary, what are you passionate about? What do you want to keep going with? What else do you want to share? And yes, I do a lot in business, but you know what? I am a beauty junkie, fashion junkie, travel junkie. I love all these other things. And yes, I put them on my stories, but you said, all right, do something with that. And I said, well, I used to have this show, very, short little show that I used to do on Facebook called Tell It Like It Is Tuesday. And I would give just a tip. And you said, why don't you give a tip, like do your business, but then something that you love. And so I now do Tell It Like It Is Tuesday. I have it in my Facebook group. I have it in the ReLaunch Effect, which is the Facebook group. But then you said, well, let's start putting that on YouTube as well. So now I'm like, hey, Tell Like It Is Tuesday. And I'm going to share with you my favorite mascara, my favorite, I think this week I just did, it was a mist, my favorite, it could be anything. And I did, why is my hair growing like crazy these days? And I shared a product that I'm using that I've been using for 3 to 4 months. And I'm like,
oh, I want that product, by the way.
It works. So anyway, what I think that you're doing though, is you're allowing me to now express myself more than just there's Hilary. She's the founder of the ReLaunch Co. She has signature business courses and she can launch those, but you're letting me be like, okay, yeah. And I also love these products and you guys should be using them too, because they are really great. And so you've gotten me to really kind of take my business to the next level, but it's fun. And you said that at the beginning. So what do you think if people are listening right now to this, what should their biggest takeaway be on, should I get on YouTube or not?
I'm going to say absolutely yes. And the piece that YouTube is also about, it's not about you. It's about what do people want who are watching it. And then the magic that I do, that my team does, is we take that alignment of what you're saying and then go and say, how are people asking for it, and bring that together. So it's never about us. It still always comes back to that. But the piece of having joy and fun, and this is my, after the book came out, my yardstick for everything at the latest. If it's not bringing you joy, don't do it. And that's the power of the yes. Don't do it. So the YouTube piece, especially for coaches, small businesses, people that get to want to speak to their audience and land with them. You don't need a big channel. What you do need to do is do it right, do it smart, do it consistently, and get the right help. Because YouTube is something that is dynamic. It is constantly changing, but that also means it's where it's happening.
So what is the biggest thing that's going down on YouTube right now that content creators need to be aware of?
Ooh, so the shorts, but that's almost old news. I mean, the shorts are everything. So it went from long content to then shorts, right? Which are the real shorts, as well as TikTok has their 1 minute. Oh, okay. Let's do a lesson here at that. So a short is 60 seconds or less. That if it's 61 seconds, it won't play as a short. So that's one. So that's a crucial takeaway. The second is that
it's like you're DQ'd if you go 1 second over.
That's done. It
Totally
goes
disqualified everyone. So don't do it.
The other piece too, this is now new. There is and we haven't discussed this yet because it's changing every week. So I got something new for you, Hilary, right? That the people will decide what they want to watch in the first 10 seconds. So you get to show up and you get to be coached in what that looks like in those 10 seconds but you're standing in your voice as you're practicing, as you're doing, as you're connecting, because you're in it. You're not waiting. And it'll happen. It'll happen by from what we started with to what we're doing to what your first video, just do it. Jump in and do it. But yes, and don't do it alone.
You know that song, It's All About the Bass. You know that song? I'm thinking like it's all about the hook. Like you got to hook them fast. It is the hook and reel them in. Okay, well, we unfortunately are running out of time, but I do want to ask you, how can people find you? How can they work with you in terms of getting their message out there on YouTube? I know that if people put a little relaunch when they tell you you've got some special things going on for new clients coming in.
Well, I have a gift. Everybody loves gifts. So I have a lift. It's just free gifts down below. I have all of my links below as well, how to get in touch with me. And subscribe to the channel. Start seeing what we're doing. Subscribe to the Facebook group. You get to experience how we market. Everything is done very strategically, and you get to start being part of the community. Easy peasy. Next, join the free gift. It's my chapter out of the book, and it's all of the milestones that I took away as I continued on my relaunch and my journey that will move you forward. Yes, there's the power of yes, and all of that's in there. So it's free gift. It's down below. That'll get you on the list. But subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Facebook page, and let's bring you forward as you stand in your message and your power for 2023.
So good. Maureen, we will have all of those links in the show notes. Again, I really believe we are just beginning our journey with YouTube, and I'm so excited to see where we go. So everyone out there, make sure to follow the ReLaunch Co. on YouTube, and you can see what we're doing with Maureen, with her crew, with her team. It's so great. And then next week, I have the real pleasure of bringing two women before you. Corey Minkus, she is the CEO of Rock Your Product, and Lisa Vrankman, she is the VP of Fortune Media Group, all about Shark Tank, all about all these great things. And you're going to find out really how to take everything that you're doing and lightning fast, get it out there and become the person to be watching in your space. So super excited as usual. This is about relaunch. This is about live now, love now, relaunch now. Get involved with what we're saying. Go make action happen. And we will see you again next week on the ReLaunch podcast. Take care, everyone.